In this video I will show you how to replace the radiator on 2004 to 2008 Ford F-150 pickup trucks. Step number 1. Park the truck on a flat surface, activate the emergency brake and place blocks in front of and behind the rear wheels for safety. 2. Allow the engine to cool down, open the engine compartment and remove the cap from the coolant reservoir. 3. Place a container under the radiator on the passenger side. Insert a piece of hose into the radiator drain valve outlet and guide the hose to the drain pan. Loosen it using pliers or a ratchet and socket as shown in the image and wait a few minutes until the radiator coolant is completely drained. 4. Remove the screw holding the air duct using a ratchet and a 10 mm socket. Once the screw is removed, proceed to remove the air duct completely by pulling it out with your hands. 5. Next, remove the fasteners shown on the screen using a crosshead screwdriver and a plastic retainer removal tool. Loosen the screw located in the center and pry the plastic clip outwards to remove it completely. Repeat that procedure on all plastic fasteners. Once all the fasteners have been removed, proceed to remove the plastic cover. 6. Slide the upper radiator hose clamp back using adjustable pliers as shown in the image and disconnect the hose completely by pulling it back with your hands. Note: inspect the hose to make sure it is still in good condition or replace the hose if necessary. 7. Likewise, slide the recovery hose clamp back using adjustable pliers and disconnect the hose completely by pulling it back with your hands. 8. Next, remove the upper and lower transmission cooling line clamps, pulling them out sideways with your hands. 9. Now remove the transmission cooling lines by inserting a line disconnect tool similar to the one shown in the image into the connector to release the retaining clips and pulling the line backwards simultaneously to disconnect it completely. 10. Remove the lower radiator hose by sliding the clamp backwards using adjustable pliers and pulling the hose backwards with your hands to disconnect it completely. 11. Remove the two screws that fasten the fan shroud to the radiator, one on each side, using a ratchet and a 10 mm socket. Once the screws are removed, pull the fan shroud slightly upwards to unhook it from its base on the radiator and slide it towards the engine. Note: it is not necessary to remove the fan or the fan shroud completely to be able to remove the radiator. However, if you choose to remove the fan and fan shroud, you will have more space. 12. Remove the two bolts that fasten the two upper radiator supports using a ratchet and a 13 mm socket. 13. Remove the damaged radiator by simply pulling it upwards with your hands. 14. Install the new radiator in its original position, ensuring that it sits correctly and that its rubber mounts are in good condition. If the rubber mounts are damaged, replace them with new ones. 15. Install the upper rubber mounts and brackets in their original position and proceed to tighten the bolts to the torque specs listed in your owner's manual. 16. Install the fan shroud back in its original position, ensuring that it sits correctly. Install and tighten the screws firmly. 17. Install the lower radiator hose and its respective clamp in its original position. 18. Apply a small layer of transmission oil to the tip of the transmission cooling lines and install them in their original position by applying inward pressure with your hand until they sit correctly. 19. Install the retaining clips on the transmission cooling lines in their original position respectively, applying inward pressure on them ensuring that they sit correctly. 20. Install the recovery hose and its respective clamp in its original position. 21. Install the upper radiator hose and its respective clamp in its original position, ensuring that it sits correctly. 22. Close the radiator drain valve and tighten it firmly. 23. Add the correct type of antifreeze listed in your owner's manual in the coolant reservoir slowly so that the air trapped in the system comes out in the form of bubbles. Once the coolant level is in between the two lines, turn the engine on, check for coolant leaks, continue adding more antifreeze while it circulates in the engine. Likewise, observe that the coolant temperature gauge in the dashboard does not go past half. If the temperature gauge goes past half, install the coolant reservoir cap on and turn the engine off. Allow the engine to cool down and repeat the procedure until the gauge remains in the middle, indicating that the thermostat is operating correctly and there are no more air bubbles in the cooling system. Verify that the coolant level is in the full mark, install and tighten the coolant reservoir cap. 24. Install the upper radiator plastic cover and its plastic fasteners, as well as the air duct. That's how simple it is to replace the radiator on 2004 to 2008 Ford F-150 pickup trucks.